Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. The case of NnamdiKanu has taken a new turn right now, considering the move by Bruce Fein, a man described as the firebrand U.S. constitutional attorney representing NnamdiKanu, and right now he has seen a shocker, which most Nigerians describe as a nuclear legal bomb, demanding immediate dismissal of all charges against the IPOB leader, or the judge will face personal legal complexity in an international crime. I'm going to give you full details of that in a jiffy. Now, according to the news, Bruce Fein, the U.S. attorney representing detained IPOB leader NnamdiKanu, has written to Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja, demanding that all charges against his client be dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. In a letter dated October 28, 2025, titled Dismissal of Prosecution of NnamdiKanu for Lack of Jurisdiction, Fein accused the Nigerian government of benefiting from what he described as its own criminal conduct in Kanu's abduction and rendition from Kenya. Fein argued that the government violated international law by kidnapping, torturing, and forcibly transferring Kanu to Nigeria, act he said amount to just-couldn't crime offenses so severe that no nation has the legal authority to commit them. He maintained that such violation automatically stripped Nigerian court of jurisdiction to try NnamdiKanu. Quoting U.S. Supreme Court Justice Louis D. Brandel's 1928 opinion in Olim State versus United States, Fein warned that government destroy the rule of law when they violate it themselves. According to him, he says, if the government becomes a lawbreaker, it breeds contempt for law and invites anarchy. Fein reminded the court that the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention in its July 2022 report directed Nigeria to release Kanu unconditionally. He warned Justice Omotosho that continuing the trial would implicate the court in the alleged crime committed during Kanu rendition. In his word, he says, if you fail to dismiss these charges, you could be complicit in the government's crime and risk prosecution before the International Criminal Court. The Nigerian government insisted that Kanu must face terrorism-related charges, but the legal team maintained that his extraordinary rendition from Kenya in 2021 rendered the entire trial illegal. Kanu has refused to enter a defense, arguing that the court lacked both legal and moral authority. His Nigerian counsel, Lloyd Jimako, has repeatedly accused the government of defying multiple court orders that granted Kanu bail and directed his release. Kanu has remained in the custody of the Department of State Services since his forced return to Nigeria, a move a Kenyan court has already ruled unlawful. Fein, a former U.S. Attorney General, Associate Deputy Attorney General, continued to lobby for international sanction against Nigerian officials over alleged breach of international law in Kanu's case. This is really getting interesting, and we just want to review some of these, because I must say that some of the write-ups, that's some of the inclusion in his write-up to James Omotosho, for me, it's quite troubling, especially when he says you will be legally implicated in Nigeria's criminal kidnapping and torture of my client. That leaves me with so much thought for Omotosho. And interestingly, from all indication, this is not just a plea, it is actually a judicial ultimatum sent out. And guess what? It has attracted a lot of reaction, and most people believe that this move by Fein is a final nail in the coffin of what they describe as a sham trial. Others believe that if the judge ignores this warning coming from Bruce Fein, he may be signing his own ICC indictment. But first of all, let's look at what's going on here based on what Fein has sent out to Omotosho. Let's look at, the judicial implication of all of this. Now, don't forget that Fein intervention right now has escalated the jurisdictional challenges building on Kanu's courtroom refusal to defend himself. And if you had listened to what he said, talking about Fane, he cited international law and Nigerian precedent to argue Kanu's rendition that it actually violated Section 35 and 36 of the 1999 Constitution. Without lawful custody, the court actually does not have any jurisdiction to carry out the case. You understand that from the beginning, in as much as Nigeria went against lawful custody, the court does not have jurisdiction. And now, a lot of Nigerians are talking about James Omotosho, that if he decides to dismiss the case, that it could lead to Kanu's unconditional release. But the big question is, will he align with the demands of Bruce Fane right now? And I know that if that happened, which is a lot of people believe that it may not, 85%, except if he decides to stand by the side of the law. But most people believe that it may potentially trigger appeal from the government. Dismissal actually might also set a precedent for other rendition cases. I don't know if there's existing rendition cases apart from that of NnamdiKanu, because that of NnamdiKanu is one of a kind that I've not seen, whereby people are being brought in illegally from other countries. But it will go an extra mile in setting a precedent for other cases like that, and it will also help in strengthening human rights challenges against extrajudicial abduction. But at the same time, let's look at the other side of the flip. If he refuses to dismiss, it could prompt appeal to the Supreme Court of international bodies, because that's the next move. If he declines, if he continues with the trial, it may actually prompt further appeal to the Supreme Court or even international bodies like ECOWAS Court or African Court on Human and People's Rights, where Kanu team have previously succeeded. This discourse has, taken another turn right now. But interestingly, the government is still relying on the charges. Their charges is still relying on the 2018 Terrorism Act, which was repealed in 2022 without a saving clause. And Fane and other supporters of NnamdiKanu are arguing the extinguishing liability, making trial incompetent. And from all indication, this particular move by Fane, for most Nigerians, they believe it's a fatal defect, which may actually predict the total acquittal of NnamdiKanu, as it has to do with this case. But then, the personal address, that's talking about the judicial bias involved in this. Most Nigerians believe that the Fane's personal address to Omotosho accuses the court of complexity, potentially pressuring the judge under ethical code. That's talking about the judicial impartiality under the code of conduct for judicial officers. And most other people looking at it in a broader perspective believe that this move will help to correct what they describe as judicial evasion. I don't know what will happen in the nearest future, but I would say that this is a very nice move, though many also believe that it might escalate a separatist tension, that if this issue is being dismissed by James Omotosho and the government keep pushing or appealing, it may trigger another thing in the Southeast. It's such a very complex issue right now that James Omotosho will be facing. But let's sit back to see as this new phase of this case keeps unfolding. That's where we would like to leave it. Let's meet in the comment section and talk more on this.